So first of all, remember they're changing my voice and my image. And after I explore this video, you'll have no doubt in your mind why that is for the most part. Some terms are important. Eugenics, scientific racism, social Darwinism, revisionism, Eurocentrism. Okay? So basically, these people are scientific racists. They want to prove that their patriarchal lines, not just their race, but their patriarchal lines are superior when they're not. Write this term down for nothing else. Gene diversity. Black people are the most diverse race. Give it a moment here. I know it's annoying, but for whatever reason, they have me under surveillance and they put certain interruptions in the video, and that's part of how they provoke me. I'm not quite sure why they continue doing it every single day, but it's been reported by a lot of political dissidents and a lot of regular people who aren't even in politics that they're experimenting on people or something like that. I don't know. And certainly they choose political dissidents to kill two birds with one stone or whatever. Okay. So anyway, like I was saying, it has to do with diversity. What's the difference between Debo from Friday or Kimbo Slice and Tyrese and Usher and Mandela, okay, and Obama, okay? So when we look at, say, Asians, they seem very similar, though if you get to know them or take the time to see, you'll quickly see the differences between the individuals, right? But there's a certain kind of, overall kind of uniformity for the most part, okay? Most Asians tend to be shorter, okay? They tend to have straight hair and so on and so forth, okay? And certain types of eyes and facial features and so on and so forth, okay? This has to do with RNA gene expression, has to do with DNA, obviously, has to do with migrations of people, has to do with the histories of empires and on and on and on, right? So China, there's the Mongolian Empire and so on and so forth, and the different groups, the Hmong and so on and so forth, okay? Now, with African people, right, you have the greatest warrior group of people. However, it's not entirely that simple. Some of these people, Twa, are very short and they're not very martial art body-like, but they're good hunters and so on and so forth. Some of them are very tall and they're too tall for their own good. It's like the story of the three little bears or something with Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, it's where do we see the ideal martial features? So we see the Igbo tribe. We see the top martial artist grouping within the tribe, and the tribe itself is very diverse, not just the black race, okay? And we see the moral spectrum. Martin Luther King embodies the RNA expression of the Igbos more than any other tribe, and it's pretty simple that he is best described as somebody of Nigerian descent, especially Igbo descent, and millions of Igbos were taken as slaves to America. So part of that greater Igbo expression is basketball players, people who are similar to Michael Jordan, okay, Martin Luther King, so on and so forth, right? Some boxers, Ali, Igbo-ish, and then there's tribes right next to them are very Igbo-ish too, Yorubas and other tribes around the Igbos in Nigeria, which is the most populated country in Africa, which means the most gene diversity of the African countries, and is significantly and historically significantly more populated than the other African countries. And as we see the other countries, they have a lot less impressive martial art traits, right? Places like Egypt and Ethiopia and so on and so forth. Let's see another phone call, right? Interrupting. You notice that this is a very vital video to my point of view, okay, and to the reality of the situation. So when we see, Jesus says, no good tree bears bad fruit and no bad tree bears good fruit. And do people pick figs from thistles and thorn bushes? No. So you have to look toward a spectrum of righteousness and the variations. You have to look toward a spectrum of martial kind of prowess, right? The Lord Almighty, the Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name, Exodus 15:3. Okay? So when you look at these things, where does it take us? Well, first of all, where does it not take us while they insist that to look to them? It doesn't take us to Europe, and it doesn't take us to Israel and to the Jews. In Galatians 4, it talks about Hagar and so on and so forth. It says the Jerusalem in heaven, okay, is the one who is right with God. Jesus said, I'm from above, you're from below. The one in Mount Sinai, where Jerusalem is, in Arabia is what it says in Galatians 4, is where the devil's Jerusalem is, okay? This is in the Bible in Galatians 4. is not exactly put out there in popular culture because it makes it crystal clear what you are looking for and what you aren't. In Galatians, I believe Galatians 3, it says there's no Jew or Gentile. You're all one under Christ. So we have to look for characteristics. Like Martin Luther King said, the content of the character and not the color of the skin. However, if people group together, which they have, in terms of viewpoints, right? You have Republicans and Democrats. You have gang members. You have, people worse than gang members who conform to the society and the social norms of society. When it says the wicked go down the realm of the dead, all the nations that forget God. Satan is the god of this world. He leads everyone astray. Don't love the world or anything in the world. And first and foremost, that's the main socially normative cultures, which are worse than the gang cultures because they're reacting to the unfairness of the mainstream cultures, the middle class, the kleptocratic corporate class. You see what I'm saying? There's no way around it. So when we look at this scientifically and with logic, in a sense, to some degree outside the Bible, we must look for character. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness. Matthew 6. Okay? Matthew 6. So if you're seeking righteousness, and we don't see anyone from any other races comparable to Martin Luther King, and we know that there's black martial artists with far more heart and warrior prowess and focused moral intensity and universal pinpoint and moral precision than Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King is under the umbrella of Western tutelage to some degree and token minority tutelage. We must go beyond him. We must go beyond Malcolm X. We must go beyond the Black Panthers. We must go to the source of his moral force and what morality goes beyond that, which is not limited by him not being the Messiah. We must go to the Messiah in the Igbo tribe. And there's also wordplay, right? Igbo is Obi backwards. Obi means King, Heart, Hut, Symbol, Essence, Core. Kuro Obi means black belt. So every famous martial art that wears a belt, okay, is wearing a black belt is wearing a Kuro Obi. It's called an Obi, okay, to carry. It symbolizes rank, position. And Obi in Igbo means King, Heart, Hut, Temple, Essence, Center, Core. Okay, the King of Kings, the Messiah, the heart of the warrior order of all of humanity. Because over there in Japan and Asia, right, go past Eastern Europe and you go into Asia, right, and what do you see? Okay, that these people wear those belts that come all the way from this people that's centered in the heart, King, Heart, Hut, Center, Temple of Africa, where all people are from. Okay, and the tree of righteousness is a warrior tree of God. Okay, Genesis, Exodus 15:3. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. And name mean. What does it mean? What does Obi mean? What does Igbo mean? Okay? And Niger means black. You see what I'm saying? But not black spirited. Okay? It's like Kemet, where they said it's the black land, right? And Nigeria means black. It's like the heart of Egypt, where the Jews were there, and after they were received by a fair Pharaoh, right? Cain versus Abel. Good Pharaoh, and there was bad pharaohs that enslaved them, and Ramses that persecuted them. So part of the kind of human genome which starts in Africa is the Pharaoh that persecutes them, and they insist that they're idolaters like the followers of Baal and them, and they had representation in Egypt, right? Set is Baal's Egyptian equivalent, okay? And the good Pharaoh, okay, Horus, the hero. That's why the word Horus is not in the Bible. The word Horus, in all of his fame in the ancient world, is not in the Bible, because it was already understood that the original form of Horus was a true hero, and there was a bunch of guys trying to be like him. They're like fans. They even had fans, and they fanned the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh was a fan. They were fans. They weren't the same as the first dynasty family, which is some kind of projection and bloodline kind of connection. And we can see on the Narmer palette before they edited the pictures and stuff like they did my pictures, okay, of something like me. If you look at me very carefully, okay, picture me like this with a flail and fucking crook, for example, like Osiris. But I'm not from that way of thinking. That's a different tribe, Haro-Isis, or something like that. The Horus, son of Osiris, okay? There's Harware, Horus the Great One, right? The one who has great martial prowess, focus, moral intensity, okay? These are ideas and characteristics that pagans later on made cults out of, pretending, just like Eminem trying to be a rapper, just like Elvis trying to dance black or whatever. They see something there with black people, they like it. You see what I'm saying? Where we get the word wigger, okay? It's a play on words for the N-word, which is a play on words for Niger, which is the heart of Africa. What is the heart of the black man's morality? It's in Nigeria, okay? The Lord is a warrior, the Lord Almighty. Can you imagine Ethiopians, Somalians, all these guys, right? They're nowhere near as intense as Nigerians, and they're like, we're equal to you. Nonsense. You're not. Okay? With all due respect. Cush begot Nimrod, right? Ham did not make a bunch of people that were all the same. Ham begot Mizraim, and Ham begot this and that, and Ham begot Cush, and Cush begot Nimrod, and Nimrod founded Babylon. And of Cush, Ebo is the bell that rings the loudest. It is the name Rod, the Nimrod of Cush. And we know by their RNA characteristics. Okay? If you were looking for, say, the son of, I don't know, we'll say Kimbo Slice, even though it's not the same thing as me, I'd outmaneuver him and cut him open in no time flat. Right? It's a combination of features. Combination. Okay? And we saw from a little guy who's like half white. We saw a big, strong guy. You see what I'm saying? We know who his child is because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, especially if he had a bunch of children. We start to see a spectrum. And so it is with these figures in the Bible. Okay? And Nimrod was a mighty warrior, it says in Genesis 10, I think 10:9 or something, and 10:10 or something, whatever it comes after that, it says he's a mighty hunter before the Lord. Before the Lord. And people are described as vipers and so on and so forth, so he's hunting these animal spirits inside of people. The wolf, the symbol of the Roman people, etc. You see what I'm saying? So, before Abraham, I am. Before Abraham, before Egypt, I am. God made man in his image, and man has been around here for over 300,000 years. The Bible is not literal. The Garden of Eden is very figurative and symbolic and metaphor. We can go on, I can make 100, 200 video playlist about it and still not cover all the metaphors, but I cover all the key stuff to a large degree. Okay? Like when we look at Eve, she takes on an alter ego. Lilith is how they try to describe it in Talmudic lore and in Jewish mythology and so on and so forth. They try to describe it as Lilith. She took on an evil alter ego and said, I'm naked. I'm not in the armor of God, so let me put on the clothes of the devil instead of the fine linen, which is the righteous acts of the saints, because she put on things from the tree of knowledge and not the tree of life, which fruit is righteousness and wisdom and obedience to God. Don't you people see what's happened here? You're following sages that use magic tricks, and in Revelation it says outside the gates are the sorcerers. The people who use magic arts, who love and live a lie. And it is a lie to say, hey, I'm a Jew by flesh, you should listen to me. Or I'm a white guy who has a church that goes way back over here in Scotland or England. Okay, it's nonsense. It wouldn't matter if you had a zillion churches that go back to the birth of Christ. Even if he's signed on the wall, if Christ existed in that term, but he's a character in a story that's superimposed on the way, the truth, the truth, the truth, the truth. Not the figurative thing taken literally unfairly, but the truth and the life, the actual way to live your life, which is to judge by the content of the character and focus moral intensity from God and universal pinpoint and moral precision. And righteousness and justice are the bells that ring the loudest. How could it be any other way? It is impossible to be a man of God and to hear my argument and to not know that I'm the Son of God. Because it's not the tone of my voice, they fuck with my voice. It is the essence of the message that I'm trying to say that comes from God.